and welcome to Human Motion Talks with your host Marcus Vanke. And today we're gonna make some analysis on the physics of the fall and the case for protected mobility. Just let me read the introduction of our episode today. There is this study, Kearney, 1988, and the study consists of a constrained stroke pneumatic impactor drove into the surgical exposed cords of 48 ferrets at C6 to C7 with the adjacent vertebra rigidly clamped, so that the impact velocity and the maximum compression could be set independently. Compression was fixed at 25, 35, 50 and 65% of cord diameter. Velocities range from 1.5 to 6 meters per second. So, recovery of somatosensibly evoked potentials at roughly 4 hours was the functional readout. So, the headline result, the region of the 6 meters per second line, was that no animal recovered evoked potentials at 65% compression at any velocity or at 6 meters per second at any level of compression. So, at 6 meters per second, no animal recovered at any level of compression. But as is written, and I want to highlight this, the deeper and more influential result was that the severity tracked the product of velocity and compression. And this, we understand that visco response, this is about the viscous response. So it isn't a matter of speed, it isn't a matter of compression, it is a matter of visco response. And more than that, it's not the number, it's the rate. The lesson of Kearney is not that 6 meters causes spinal cord injury, is that the spinal cord trauma is a dynamic mechanical event. So this is important to highlight, in which the amount of deformation and the rate, so this is what really matters to analyze it, a trauma from the mechanic point. The amount of deformation and the rate of deformation interact. However, let's go back to our 6 meters per second. But it was at this curious that he made this discovery. So they clamped this. It's a constrained stroke pneumatic impactor drove into surgically exposed cords of 48 ferrets with their adjacent vertebra rigid clamped. So we have whole body velocity, fall velocity, impact velocity, vertebra displacement velocity, spinal cord occlusion velocity, spinal cord deformation. So in this study, they narrowed the gap of this speed with this speed. So that's obvious, okay? Eventually this can be reproduced if eventually someone has a fall similar to the situation of the study. And that's my point, okay? So it's important to understand that it's the spinal cord trauma is a dynamic mechanical event, but I'm just making some considerations, some side thoughts to this situation, to this study. Okay, let's some suppositions, better say. So let's say that someone about 6 meters per second, considering the gravity acceleration of 9.8 meters per second square, we have that 1.83 meters or 6 feet is the height that is needed to reach this speed of 6 meters per second. Well, this could be an average height of an adult, an older adult. So, given this understanding, so it's not a lost number, we can trace it to a height that can be a height of an adult. So it can fit in common situation, and if a free fall happens, falling from the standing height, given the situation, eventually can be reproduced a similar effect to as found in the Carnegie study. So what I'm exercising a thought that eventually someone could fall, and given to the situation, the configuration of the fall, hitting with the back in some concrete without shock, with, let's say, with very few absorption, shock absorption, it could produce a trauma. So it's not impossible, and that leads us to another situation between two risks, falling and not moving. So I'm not stating that someone with 6 feet tall falling and hitting a concrete in the back will have a trauma. No, I'm just make some suppositions for us to exercise a eventually possible situation, to consider that eventually older people with walking with poor balance, weakness, or reduced coordination carries a real risk fall, and with the associated risks with this fall of causing eventually a spinal cord injury. A fall can be mechanically consequential, but not walking carries its own cascade of risks: the muscle and bone loss, and the cardiovascular and pulmonary decline that follow immobility. So, eventually, there is a risk that someone that has a poor balance, weakness, or reduced coordination has a fall, and this fall may eventually have important damages, relevant damage to eventually the spinal cord, and nobody wants that. But staying seated is not a solution, because it will certainly bring some important relevant issues to the health. For some groups, particularly those whose impairment is not itself a spinal cord injury, a supported gait device or exoskeleton could in principle offer a middle path, a protected sitting in which to perform the very walking that builds strength, balance, and endurance, while the frame supports the body and reduces the chance of unprotected fall during the exercise. So what I want to bring today is that maybe someone can walk, they do not have a impairment, a gait impairment, but they have some lack of balance. So an exoskeleton would protect them of falling. I'm not saying that exoskeletons are fall proof. No, I'm just mentioning generically. I'm developing my own exoskeleton, the ProOak, which is safe, very safe, to prevent fall, and could be an excellent option. But I'm just mentioning generically exoskeletons in general, so it's not about just improving the mobility, it's about protection against fall. Because as I mentioned, I'm not just, again, I'm not saying that 6 meters per second fall will have a spinal cord injury, no, but there is a study that shows that this eventually could happen. And if we take the speed that they fall, for which no recovery was found for any level of spinal cord compression, and this speed eventually could be equals to 6 feet of free fall. Eventually, someone with this height, a little bit more, a little bit less, falling and hitting the column, hitting his back on a hard concrete, something with no absorption, could eventually produce a spinal cord injury. So nobody wants that, and eventually this could happen. So protection using an exoskeleton for someone that eventually could walk by themselves, but would add not just mobility but protection. Protection would be the issue for this patient, not stay seated. He could move, he could practice a gait training and avoid the risks associated with prolonged sitting, and also having protection against a fall that eventually could be harmful. So now I want to mention 5 populations with gait impairment and fall risks because of their impairment. So COPD, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, that's a group. Another heart failure, cardiovascular disease, post-ICU, stroke, and spinal cord injury incomplete. So these groups have may have some kind of walking impairment, and eventually they would have a greater risk of fall. So exoskeletons could add some protection for them to exercise their gait training and avoid the risks of just stay seated. So that's the point I want to bring today, and I hope to make I hope people understand what the message I want to bring. So it's not about just someone that has paralysis. I'm talking about people that eventually could stand up but has a associated risk of falling. As I just used this study, eventually using this physics, this falling from standing high could eventually be harmful. So an exoskeleton could be a good idea, a good solution for this situation. Okay, that's the message, and also I want to mention that this 6 feet is the maximum. Is also the maximum. Oh, what's happening? Is the maximum free fall permitted by occupational fall rest standard, and the standard is this one right here, OSHA 29. So a personal fall rest, max resting force 8 kilonewtons, free fall below 6 feet. So I don't know how this, how they came to the 6 feet, but it's the same thing about using the study of Kearney. I don't know if there's any relation, just I just found interesting this same number. So that's just a thought about exoskeletons are not just about mobility improvement, are also about protection. Thank you, and till our next episode of Human Motion Talks.